Good morning or afternoon, Year 10, whenever you are watching this. I hope you are having a lovely week so far and you thoroughly enjoyed the whole class marking feedback that you got. So as I told you, we are now looking still at language paper 1, but the excitement is question 4, our big marker. Okay, remember, obviously questions 1, 2 and 3 are important in the paper and they can make the difference between those couple of marks you can get with them can make the difference between one band or another, but our big markers, the things that we really need to work on, the areas where we need to make sure we gain as many marks as we can because they're worth so much for our overall grade on this paper, is question 4 and question 5. And obviously question 5 is half of the whole paper, so really, really significant and important. But question 4 is by far the biggest section of marks for the reading side, okay? Questions 1, 2 and 3 basically lead us up to this point, okay? 1 is about being able to identify information and make basic inferences. 2 is about being able to explore what's really happening, how are things being presented to us. 3 is about looking at that structure, so we're not just looking at the language, we're looking at how it's put together, we're looking at all the different aspects of the decisions the writer has made in order to convey what it is they're trying to make us see and feel and realise and start to hook us in. And question 4 is asking you to bring all of that together, to bring all of those elements together, but then on top of that to evaluate how well and in what way the writer has done one of those or some of those things. So this is assessment objective 4. It evaluates text critically and supports this with appropriate textual references. Okay, that's what we're looking to achieve with this question. So today's date, underlined with a ruler. I want you to write the title, language paper 1, question 4, underlined with a ruler. Once you've done that, continue. Pause if you still need time to write that. I'm going to move on to the next slide. So we're going to focus here on going from a level 3 to a level 4 with this question, okay? Because lots of people can easily get into a level 2. Lots of people can be at a middle level 3, but where we want to be, the bare minimum, top of level 3, ideally we want to be in that level 4, okay? We can get in that level 4 on this question, we're going to do well on this paper, okay? So, level 3 is all about clarity. So you've clearly evaluated the text, okay? It means you've shown an understanding of what's happening in it, how you've discovered what's going on with Alex's thoughts and feelings, and how the writer achieved that understanding. Offers examples from the text to explain views clearly. So your references are there and you link that with explanation. The explanation is very easy to follow, it's quite clear, but it's not necessarily that developed. Clearly explains the effects of writer's choices. That means you have to have identified the choices, i.e. the methods the writer has used, and you have to say, well, that method is what helps us to realise this, or to see this, or to discover this, or it switches that mood or that atmosphere or our perception. And then shows relevant quotations to support views. Now, quotations, we've got the S on the end, so that means you have to be using more than one, okay? And support views means every time you're using a quotation, it must be in reference to something you've stated that you've evaluated clearly in relation to the text. Now we need to look at how we up-level that. So, A, level 4, critically evaluate the text in a detailed way, i.e. it looks at where the text achieves something to a high level and where, there should be an it there, sorry, where it doesn't achieve this or only partially does. So predominantly needs to be critical about something we're looking at, well, this achieves this really well here, or this really starts to build on that idea that the writer developed and it but then on the other hand, it hints to an element of this. Okay, so we're looking at how things connect, shows that we're critically evaluating, or we're looking at where something only partially achieves something, or where something in one way presents one aspect, but actually might also present something else. B, offers examples from text to explain views convincingly. How you go from clearly to convincingly is the depth and the detail and the sophistication of the way you present how and why that reference, that quote, supports your interpretation, supports your evaluation. And then analyses effects of a range of writers' choices. Now that's the big difference, okay? Two elements have changed here. One, we have to have a range. That means you can't just say the use of the dialogue, okay? You have to identify multiple methodologies that the writer has used and analyses the effects. Therefore, you have to say, why has that method been effective in creating this effect? Okay, so you have to look at the method and say, why is that working well to do this, or why hasn't it worked well to do that? And selects, again, range is that word that's coming in here, of relevant quotations to validate views. That means you can't just be using a couple. If it's a range, you need to be looking at what aspects of the text you've been asked to explore, and you have to be making sure that you're picking multiple quotes out of that. Okay, I'm going to go on to the next slide now. So we are going to look at the same as last week, an extract from City of the Beast. So this is the Alex Cold extract. So like I said in the whole class marking, if you printed that already, brilliant. You don't have to reprint anything. If you downloaded it and saved it to your computer already, excellent. You've got it there ready to go. It should also make this a little bit quicker because you've got a rough idea of what happens. You've already read it. That was a week ago, or a few days ago at the very least. So do give it, before you focus in on the section we're going to look at today, do give it a whole nother quick reread, just to really refresh your mind and get you kind of back in the mindset of what's happening with Alex and what's going on. So, question 4, making critical evaluations of text. I want that bold sentence at the top to be your subheading. I want you to write that down and underline it with a ruler. Thank you. Once you've done that, you are going to reread lines 16 to the end of the extract. Now, in the examination, this question, question 4, is based upon your ability to evaluate a critical view of the passage you have read. So you'll be given a critical view and you have to say how well you agree with that critical view, i.e. where in the extract that you've been told to focus on do we see aspects, methodology that support that critical view. So before we do that, we need to start thinking about what is a critical view? How would you come to create a critical view? What critical views might you have? Because once you start thinking about how would you create a critical view, then you're going to start thinking about, well, what things would I be looking for and noticing? Because they're the things you want to be picking out in order to answer the question. So here are some examples. These are not examples in relation to the text we're looking at today. These are from all different sources. But these are all examples of critical views that have been used in previous exam papers. So, a student having read this section of the text said, the writer clearly shows the fireman's enjoyment of the fire. The thrill he takes in burning books is very clear. A student having read this section of the text said, the writer makes the stranger seem mysterious. There is something unusual about him. A student having read this section of the text said, the writer brings the different characters to life for the reader. It's as if you are inside the coach with them. So there are 3. You don't need to know what the text is that they come from. Okay, but there are 3 examples of the kinds of critical views that you would get in an exam. So your first task is to now reread line 16 to the end, and I want you to come up with and construct your own critical view of the passage. What would you say about that passage? Okay. If we think about what's happening in that section, we're probably either going to be making a comment in relation to Alex, or we're going to be making a comment in relation to his mother, or we're going to be making a comment in relation to atmosphere, or we're going to make, did I say Alex, his mother? Or to the family as a whole. Okay, so Alex, his mother, the family as a whole, or atmosphere. Okay, that's what I would say are the most probable things that you could make a critical view of. So pick one of those, read it, and have a think. Turn one of these statements, or not turn one of these statements, sorry, create a statement similar to one of these for yourself, your own critical view. Email me in, don't hand it in with the rest of your work. Email me the critical views that you've come up with, and there may be prizes for the best one. Prize will either be based vis-a-vis points on Go for Schools, or it might be I might hold back the prize until when we are back in school, and then you will get an actual prize. I'll wait and see, depending on how good the winner is, or how good the critical view for the winner is, to be precise. Now, here is the question you're going to be answering. Okay, so focus this part of your answer on the second half of the story from line 16 to the end. A student said, this part of the story, set during breakfast time, shows that Alex is struggling to cope with his mother's illness. To what extent do you agree? In your response, you could consider your own impressions of Alex, evaluate how the writer shows that Alex is struggling to cope, and support your response with references to the text. Remember, whenever we have the word could, we do a big old cross out and we write should. Okay? They're not trying to trick you. When they prompt you, it's because that's the kind of thing that they're going to be looking for when they're marking it. Okay? Also, it says to what extent do you agree? You always have to agree. Okay. Now you may partially agree, you may mostly agree, but agree has to be the main part of your answer. Okay. There may be an aspect of the statement that you disagree with, and you have to present the evidence and the reason and the evaluation of why you disagree with that part of the statement. But the majority, the main essence of the statement, you have to agree with. And the reason you have to agree with it is because the exam board, again, they're not trying to trick you. They will only ever give you a statement where there is more evidence to support it than to disprove it. Okay? So you must remember to agree. That doesn't mean to say you have to say I completely agree. You can say mostly, you can say predominantly. Okay? You could say partially, but you're erring into a dangerous area there. You want to be at least majoritively agreeing with the statement. And as stated already, this is a 20 marker. Okay? So that means it's going to take you 20 minutes to write, 4 minutes to plan. Okay? Use that time wisely. Think about it. That's in the exam. We're not going to be only using 20 minutes at the moment because you will need more than that because you haven't practiced it enough to be able to do it in 20 minutes. But in the exam, that's how long you'll have. So, question 4. Making critical evaluations of text. As we just said, a student said, this part of the story set during breakfast time shows that Alex is struggling to cope with his mother's illness. Now, here, I've given you an opening. Okay, none of these are whole paragraphs, they're openings of paragraphs. So, I agree as this section tells us Alex is angry with life in general, even with his mother for getting sick. Okay, so I've agreed with the statement, okay? I've engaged with that task. I said I agree with this as this section, okay? And I've given my reason, I've given my view on Alex. So I've agreed because it tells us Alex is angry, okay? I've inferred, okay? And we're told, and then I've used the quote to support it. Life in general, if I could speak, even with his mother for getting sick. This suggests he is desperately looking for someone to blame and isn't dealing with the situation very well. Now, why I'm saying that is because of blaming the mother for getting sick. That means you must be desperate to blame somebody if you're going to blame somebody who's ill, okay? And if you're blaming somebody who's ill, that means you're not dealing with the situation very well because you're needing someone to be angry with. So, this critical evaluation shows a clear understanding of the way Alex has been presented in this section and has used relevant references, okay? So, it's not a bad opening. We're taking some of that mark scheme off, but it could be improved. So, second option. I agree that Alex is very angry with everyone. His father, his sisters, life in general, even with his mother for getting sick, which is a definite symptom of not coping with his mother's illness. His behaviour is irrational, especially blaming his mother for becoming ill, but he is a young boy caught up in circumstances over which he has no control, and he is full of frustration and desperate to find someone to blame. Now, clearly, we've got a lot more detail in there. We've got much more detailed analysis and interpretations of information. So this critical evaluation shows developed engagement with the statement and the character. It is a much stronger evaluation as it addresses the depth of which, get rid of the two, we are shown Alex struggling and inferences regarding the reasons for this. Okay. So exactly like I was looking at going from that band 3 to that band 4, okay, this is the difference, the depth of detail, the explanation, okay, the development of your ideas. Just because you've written a good idea down doesn't mean that's all you need to do. Develop it, explain it, okay, be detailed. That's how you're going to get, you don't get 20 marks for just writing a couple of sentences, okay. You have to really think about it and decide in your mind, why is it I know that? Why is it I think this at this point? What is it about what he's doing that suggests that? What does that tell me about his character? So, using examples to explain views convincingly, okay? I want that to be your subheading, okay? Using examples to explain views convincingly. And I want you to find 2 examples for each of the following evaluations. So, 1, Alex is struggling to cope. Find me 2 quotes in that line 16 to the end that show us Alex is struggling to cope. Then, Alex's behaviour is irrational and unfair. 2 quotes that show that. Third, Alex already misses his mum, even though she is still there. 2 quotes. I want you to pause this. I want you to go through that extract. I want you to break this down. I want you to write 1. I want you to write what the evaluation is. Alex is struggling to cope. And then below it, using quotation marks, I want you to write the 2 quotes you've chosen. I want you to do the same for point 2. I want you to do the same for point 3. Now, they are in different colours, but I'm not colour coding this for your learning groups, okay? So you're all doing each of those. Okay, pause it, get those written down. I'm going to go on to the next part. Okay, so here are a couple of options you could have used. If these are what you wrote down, give yourself a tick. If you've got a quote that's similar, I'm going to trust you, give yourself a tick. So, Alex was angry with his father, his sisters, life in general. If you're angry with everyone, life in general, you're clearly struggling to cope. It's not normal to be angry with everybody and to be angry at just being alive. Okay. Alex's behaviour is, these aren't in order. I don't know, I messed up the animations when I was doing this slide and I'm not clever enough to work out how to fix it. So, Alex's behaviour is irrational and unfair, even with his mother for getting sick. Is it rational to be angry with somebody who's ill? Is it fair to be angry with somebody who's ill? No, it's not. So that's irrational and unfair behaviour. And then also, shut up, Nicole, Alex replied. And Nicole's a little kid. She's sad and fed up of eating these rubbery pancakes and being hungry every morning. But Alex, being the older brother, has got no sympathy. There's no kind of protection or no understanding there. And that's because he's being irrational. He's so absorbed in his own pain, in his own angst, in his own fear, that he can't kind of be understanding to her. Struggling to cope, he rushed out the kitchen ready to leave without breakfast. Now, if you're rushing out the kitchen, that either means you're in a great hurry or you're trying to get out of there because there's something in there you can't deal with. Well, what do we know is happening in that kitchen? They're talking about his mum's illness. What do we know his father claims? Mama's going to be fine. What do we know? Alex is afraid she isn't going to be. He's afraid she isn't going to be fine, so he can't cope with that. He doesn't really deal with that conversation. And that's reinforced by the ready to leave without breakfast. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty hungry when I wake up, you know. Leaving without breakfast isn't the sign of somebody coping with, it's a sign of somebody who's desperate to get out. And then Alex already misses his mum even though she is still there. Alex had realised during those months how enormous their mother's presence had been and how painful her absence was now. So she's still there, she's still in the house, but yet he's considering her absent because she's not doing all the things she used to do. Therefore, he's missing her even though she's still there. And she was little more than a silent ghost. To consider her a ghost makes her seem separate, distant, almost imaginary, again implying that sense of missing. A ghost is implying separation. You know, you're in different planes from ghosts, aren't you? Therefore, he feels his mother isn't really with him, so he's missing her already. If you weren't able to get 2 for any of those, please add down one of my examples to make sure you've got 2. Do it in a different colour pen, please, to show that that was one you took from the PowerPoint. Pause now if you need longer to note any of those down. I'm going to move on to the next slide. Okay, so here is a beautiful example of one paragraph answering this question. Now, obviously for 20 marks, one paragraph is not enough. Okay, we want 3 paragraphs. Okay, so here's my one. I agree that Alex is very angry with everyone. His father, his sisters, life in general, even with his mother getting sick, which is a definite symptom of not coping with his mother's illness. His behaviour is irrational, especially blaming his mother for becoming ill. But he is a young boy put up in circumstances over which he has no control, and he is full of frustration and desperate to find someone to blame. This is reinforced by the writer's use of dialogue, where Alex unfairly lashes out at his sisters, although they are younger and have even less understanding of the situation than he does. The writer also shows Alex isn't coping through a comparison of past and present versions of his mother. She was an artist whose paintings were once explosions of colour, but now her oil paints dried in their tubes. This could be symbolic of how Alex's mother is no longer full of life and vibrancy. The metaphor, little more than a silent ghost, supports this because it suggests that what was once central driving force of the family has become a shadow, an almost invisible spirit haunting Alex with the memory of her former self. Now, those of you who are very smart will notice I put these in different colours, and that's because the dark blue is showing you a clear evaluative point. The red is showing you the judicious. Okay, so judicious means precise, well chosen. I'm not just whacking any quote in there. I've chosen quotes that really specifically, 1, support my point, and 2, develop my analysis, develop my critical evaluation. Range of embedded. See how my quotes, I'm not leading into them, they're within the body of my sentences. That means your quote is embedded. Okay, and again, that's more sophisticated. That helps us get into that higher band. Green is the critical evaluation of the effects. Okay, purple is identification and understanding of writer's methods. Okay, I talk about how there's a comparison of the past and present version writer's methods. I talk about the fact that the dialogue is used. I talk about the fact that it could be symbolic. I talk about the metaphor. I talk about what the metaphor suggests. Okay. I'm identifying the methodology and I'm showing I understand what those methods achieve. And then explanation of examples is in the light blue. Okay. So I want you to have a read through this. Okay. You could, if you wanted to copy this out in different colours with the code at the side to help you with the task, there's nothing wrong with that. Or when you go on to actually do the question, you could keep this screen up and put it on pause. It's up to you. You could take a photo with your phone and have that next to you while you do it. Now, our next slide, I'm going to turn the slide now, so if you are copying this out, you will want to press pause at this moment. Our next slide is going to give us a little bit of detail here about the analyse effects of a range of writers' methods. So here is a list of all the different things you want to be looking at and thinking of to be able to talk about, to be able to pick out. That's the terminology you want to be using. They're the effects you want to be looking out for, and think about the impact of these things. Think about where have these things been done or used in the text, and how do they show us Alex is struggling to cope? Where do they support that analysis, that critical view that Alex is struggling to cope? Okay. Think about descriptions, think about symbolism, lexical fields, connotations, okay, the dialogue. Think about the order of the events, okay. Think about why the flashback of the mother comes at the end. Think about the potency of that last line in the extract. How does that really end on that really strong reinforcement of how much he's struggling and how there's an element of him that's already seeing her as dead. Okay. Think about this is really from those really pushing to be at the top here, this last one, the form. Okay. I'm not going to go through and talk you through the meaning of all of those terms in the form box. Okay. I want you to pick two that you do not know in there, and I want you to look them up and I want you to write them down in your word banks, okay? Your word banks are either, remember, in the middle of your books or on the last 2 pages. So I want you to pick 2 of the words in the box for form, and I want that you do not know, and I want you to look them up and I want you to write them down in your vocabulary bank with the explanation. And then I want you to Google and find an example of a novel that is each of those 2 words that you have looked up. And I want you to write the example book in there as well. Okay? You don't have to write this box out. If you want to have it in your book as notes and reference when you revise, that's fine. Go for it. Copy it out. Again, if you want to have this available to you when you're writing the actual answer, please feel free to take a picture of the screen at the moment. I would say probably the example paragraph is going to be more useful, so if you're going to pause the screen while you're writing, I'd probably pause it on that one and take a picture of this one. But it's up to you. You might want to just pause this one and have this one up while you're doing the work. Whatever works best for you. I'm going to change the slide now. So, here's the question. Okay, I want you to put the subheading task, question 4. I want you to write out the statement. Don't write out for this part of your answer, focus on, for this part, of your answer of the second half. Don't write that bit. Write from a student said down to his mother's illness. Okay. If you think you're going to forget to mention that you agree, you partially agree, you mostly agree, you predominantly agree, then add in the line to what extent do you agree. If you know, you bank that knowledge. You know every paragraph has to relate to you talking about the fact that you agree with the statement. Another reason that I agree. However, the reason I only predominantly agree is because of this. If you know that you're going to remember to do that, then don't bother writing that part of the question. If you think you might forget, then write it so that you can, when you keep rereading at the top of your page that statement, you're going to keep rereading to what extent do you agree, and it's going to remind you to make a reference there, because you have to reference the fact that it's asking you to what extent do you agree. Okay, so your first paragraph has to open, I completely agree, I predominantly agree, I mostly agree, I partially agree. Okay, and then your next 2 paragraphs are going to say, another reason I agree, a further reason for my agreement with the statement the student said. Another reason the student's statement is so clearly accurate is because, okay, you have to be referencing your agreement with that statement. Okay. Now, I've given you a very detailed opening paragraph. You can use that to support you. You can steal little snippets of elements, the odd sentence starter, a nice piece of vocabulary. However, if, lovely year 10s, when I read your answers, you have just taken all of the ideas in that paragraph, I will send it back to you and I will make you rewrite it. Do you understand? Okay. You can use it as guidance. You can use it as a prompter. You can use it to steal the odd little bit. You cannot just regurgitate that paragraph with a few changes. Okay? That is not allowed. I would suggest you've got 6 quotes already. Okay, so we had 3 different critical statements and you've got 2 quotes for each. Okay, I would suggest you frame your answer around those quotes that you picked out. Okay, and you could look at breaking those 3 critical statements, those 3 points. You could use them to structure your whole answer. So paragraph 1 could be the blue statement, paragraph 2 could be the orangey red statement, paragraph 3 could be the green statement. Okay, that would give you a really nice coherent structure to your overall answer. Okay, and you've got quotes for each of those, and you've got quotes that are different for each paragraph then. And then that means if you look at that, at the end of that answer, you're going to have used 6 quotes that are going to have supported your critical evaluation, that you're going to have explained, that you're going to have developed, okay, that you're going to have talked about the effects of, that you're going to have talked about the methodology of. Therefore, it will be pretty much impossible for you, if you do that, for you not to be in band 4 on this mark scheme, because you'll have ticked off all of those bullet points on that mark scheme. Okay? So that is my suggestion to help you structure it. You've got a model answer, okay, for a paragraph. You've got the colour-coded elements showing you all the different things you need to make sure you've got in each paragraph. You can go back to slide number 2, I think it was, where we looked at what the difference was from band 3 to band 4. And if you're stuck, if you've got any questions, give me an email. I think you should spend at least 10 minutes planning this, okay? You might want to do it as a bullet point plan for what you're going to put in each paragraph. You might want to draw it as a table, whichever works better. You might want to do it as a mind map. That's another good way you can do it. Whichever works better for you, okay, your plan, so it has to be what works for you. And then I want you to spend 30 minutes answering the question, no more than 35. 30 minutes, 3 paragraphs, no more than 35 minutes, okay? 35 minutes is still 15 minutes longer than you'll have in the exam, okay? So start trying to think about timing, start trying to be tough with yourself, making yourself work to a time pressure, because that's going to be really, really important next year, okay? Have a lovely rest of your week. If you're stuck on anything, just send me an email or put a message on the Teams page, okay? Have a lovely weekend, and you will get your next tutorial next week.